Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. In the brilliant starry sky of late Qing history, Aisin Joro Yihuan's daughter, the fourth princess, is renowned as the most beautiful woman of the Qing Dynasty. Her beauty captivated Empress Dowager Cixi and left an indelible mark in the annals of history. However, a woman's beauty does not always guarantee fortune. The fourth princess's life trajectory resembles a tragic river, destined to struggle in the crevices of power and desire. Despite her looks being comparable to the four legendary beauties of ancient times, according to relevant historical records, during the final years of the Qing Dynasty, domestic and foreign crises plunged the entire dynasty into turmoil. Both nobles and commoners faced a harsh struggle for survival in such an environment. In this male-dominated society, officials were generally corrupt. Even as the cherished daughter of Prince Qing Yihuan and hailed as the most beautiful woman of the Qing dynasty, the fourth princess could not escape this fate, becoming a victim of power struggles. Yihuan was one of the four prominent princes during the late Qing period. Initially, he did not hold a significant position, but through his unique approach to life, he gradually stood out. He was adaptable and skillful in navigating the complex officialdom, winning Cixi's favor with his singing and humor. His straightforward personality evoked both love and resentment from Cixi. Despite his average talent, he gained her support through exceptional social skills in a society that valued bloodline above all. In his political career, Yihuan pursued power at all costs. And his beautiful daughter, the fourth princess, was no exception, making him an unusual prince. Initially responsible for diplomatic and naval affairs, few had high hopes for his future. Although his work performance was mediocre, he was passionate about socializing, often participating in or hosting various banquets. Yihuan honed his card-playing skills and began to win Cixi's affection through bold singing and teaching her to play mahjong. He gradually cultivated the card skills of palace eunuchs and maidens, using mahjong as a leisure activity to help Cixi temporarily forget the pressures of state affairs. Amid the internal and external challenges of late Qing, this strategy helped Yihuan rise in status within the palace, advancing from a marginal official to the chief grand counselor. His ambitions did not stop there. He continued to seek to expand his influence within the intricate court politics, ultimately turning his gaze toward his daughter, the fourth princess, hoping to solidify his power further through her special position beside Cixi. This strategy revealed his thirst for power and reflected the complexities of late Qing court politics. Although the fourth princess's life appeared prosperous and happy to outsiders, she was born into a noble family and enjoyed material abundance and familial affection from a young age. Such an environment filled her childhood with joy and warmth. However, as a princess, she inevitably bore the heavy burden of maintaining the family's honor. Enjoying all the splendor and prestige also meant she had to pay the corresponding price. This sense of responsibility gradually manifested in her growth. Her father had high hopes for her, expecting her to learn various skills to enhance the family's glory. From an early age, the fourth princess received rigorous education, mastering the arts of music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Her efforts earned her the affection of her parents and made her stand out in social gatherings, even compared to the princesses in the palace. She was sensitive to the emotions of those around her and became an emotional mediator in the family. When her parents quarreled, she often used her wisdom and gentleness to ease the tension, restoring harmony to the household. This talent allowed her to bring comfort and relaxation to any occasion. Unlike her father's smoothness and flattery, the fourth princess's demeanor was always sincere and natural, making her words and actions comforting, fostering trust among those around her. Family members and outsiders alike praised her not only for her talent and beauty but also for her character and inner kindness. According to relevant historians, during Yihuan's subsequent entry into the palace, he always brought the beautiful fourth princess with him, allowing her to get close to Cixi and win her affection. Indeed, when Cixi saw this young woman, she often displayed more smiles. Whenever the fourth princess was present, she attracted more attention. However, the fourth princess's life, while seemingly radiant on the surface, was, in fact, trapped in a gilded cage. Growing up in the Forbidden City, she became a favorite of Empress Dowager Cixi. Most of her childhood and youth were spent in Cixi's palace, becoming a warm spot in the vast and indifferent court. Cixi often required the fourth princess to be by her side, and her presence seemed to serve as a refuge for Cixi's spirit. This life of being cherished was not entirely sweet. Cixi's favor brought the fourth princess endless constraints and pressures. Her personal wishes and emotional needs were often overlooked, leaving her to navigate palace rules and Cixi's moods. Deep down, the fourth princess yearned for freedom and true happiness, but she could only wander within the palace walls, searching for a piece of sky that belonged to her. In that era, every move of Empress Dowager Cixi became a trendsetter. For a period, she was passionate about photography, often pulling the fourth princess into the frame, leaving behind precious black and white images of that time. For Yiquang, having a daughter favored in the palace significantly bolstered his status and power, and he showed little concern for her true feelings. The fourth princess's life seemed to be guided by the palace's power games. Even as she reached marriageable age, she hoped to break free from the palace's constraints and pursue her own freedom. According to historical records, Empress Dowager Cixi placed great importance on the fourth princess's marriage and ultimately chose the ninth son of Yulu as her husband. Although this political marriage was carefully considered by Cixi, the fortunate outcome was that the fourth princess found her married life quite happy. However, shortly after, Cixi's sense of loneliness intensified with the departure of the fourth princess. She often requested the fourth princess to return to the palace for companionship, sometimes for gatherings lasting even a month. Despite her reluctance, the fourth princess had to comply for the safety of her husband and family. Cixi lacked someone to confide in, and the presence of the fourth princess provided her with comfort. While the fourth princess understood Cixi's loneliness, she was keenly aware that this was not the life she sought. Unfortunately, when her husband fell seriously ill, she longed to return home to care for him, but was met with Cixi's opposition. As a result, her husband died from symptoms of depression, which was a devastating blow for the fourth princess. She finally stood up to Cixi, insisting on returning home to handle her husband's affairs. After dealing with her husband's funeral, the fourth princess chose to observe mourning. Surprisingly, Cixi did not consider her situation and summoned her back to the palace once more. During this crucial mourning period, Cixi even forced her to watch theatrical performances and made her wear a costume to perform. These experiences left the fourth princess feeling despairing. She realized that Cixi's so-called affection was merely a game. Consequently, the fourth princess's life trajectory gradually faded under Cixi's influence. She was no longer the once radiant jewel of the palace. After losing her smile, she became dull and no longer attracted attention. Cixi's interest in her diminished, leaving her to live a solitary life in the depths of the palace. As time passed and the tides of war swept in, the fourth princess and her family endured years of turbulence. Although they were ultimately resettled, the former beauty of the Qing Dynasty gradually faded into obscurity, no longer known to the world. Dying alone without children, the fourth princess sadly ended her life. Her story became a touching legend in the history of the Qing Dynasty. Her beauty could not be fully captured in black and white photographs, and her inner world was complex and profound. Her life resembled a long dream, filled with the splendor of the palace, yet accompanied by endless constraints and helplessness. The fourth princess's experiences showcase a woman's struggle between power and emotion, profoundly reflecting the tragic fate of women in that era. Her story not only reveals the complexities of life in the Qing palace but also pays deep respect to those women who were marginalized and overlooked in history. Her life embodies the social realities of that time while provoking deep reflection on the fate of women. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.